we're just going to go over our Animal Town story and finish off with our conclusion today. So in your conclusion, like your introduction, you still want to keep your reader interested. A good conclusion makes your narrative feel complete and finished and leaves the reader satisfied. Remember, not all conclusions have a happy ending. You may like to leave your audience thinking. In order to write my conclusion, I have my plan in front of me from this week, so I can consistently refer back to that. You will also notice I've added in the parts that Mr. Anderson added in his part of the story, and I also have my story that's just off screen that you have been watching Miss Laura, Mr. Anderson and Miss Weeks creating. So as authors, we always reread our writing. So first of all, I'm going to reread the story we've got so far. Over the horizon, I could slowly begin to see the sun rise up. The darkness surrounding me quickly began to turn into a golden shade, as if the sun rose up from asleep. My family and I had been driving all night to see my grandma when we came across the strangest sign that read Animal Town. We had to see what this place was, and we jumped out of the car excitedly, and I couldn't believe my eyes what was in front of me at the admissions counter. "Can I help you?" boomed a deep voice from across the counter. I looked up to see where the voice came from, and all I could see was a huge orangutan waiting patiently in front of me. I was so surprised I couldn't answer. The orangutan said, "Well?" I stammered as I wanted to know what this town was like. The enormous orangutan simply said, "As you can see, it's not like any other place." I heard a noise from behind me. I slowly turned and could see 4 ears peering from behind a corner. 2 of the ears edged forward to reveal 2 eyes, whiskers, and a big smile. "Hello?" I asked cautiously. Before I had finished, 2 meerkats appeared in front of me. "Welcome to Animal Town," the 2 meerkats said in unison. As I went to say thank you, my brother nudged me in the side and silently pointed to the chair next to us. On the wooden chair, perched happily, was a tall giraffe reading the newspaper. I had so many questions in my head. My head was racing. Okay, so we're going to have a look at my conclusion. Remember, we want to make our story feel complete and leave our readers satisfied. So, before I had time to get the thoughts, in my head, in check, which just means in order. My brother was again nudging me. Nudging me in the arm. This time, practically, which means pretty much almost, pulling me at the same time. I swiftly turned my head and out of, just made a mistake there, that's okay, and out of the dark shadows from across the other side of the room came a roaring lion whose mane was noticeably not sure if I've spelt that right, so I'm going to put squiggly line and some brackets, fluffy. So as you can see, we've also ticked off our majestic lion character. As fluffy as he was, my brother and I was so startled, which means just so scared, we shot off out of the building screaming. As we ran out screaming, Mum and Dad, because remember they're on the trip with Mum and Dad, had pulled the car around ready for us to get in. We dived into the back seat and screamed at Dad. To get us out of here. Dad put his foot to the floor and we drove off quick. Might change that to quickly. We drove off quickly. As we saw Animal Town out the back of our car window, I leaned over. Oh, cross that out there. I leaned over and I whispered to my brother, I have never been more excited to be stuck in a car on the way to Grandma's house. Okay, so that's the end of my story. As authors, we always make sure we reread. So I'm going to reread our conclusion and make sure it makes sense. Before I had time to get the thoughts in my head in check, my brother was again nudging me in the arm, this time practically pulling me at the same time. I swiftly turned my head back, and out of the dark shadows from across the other side of the room came a roaring lion whose mane was noticeably fluffy. As fluffy as he was, my brother and I were so startled we shot off out of the building screaming. As we ran out screaming, Mum and Dad pulled the car around ready for us to get in. We dived into the back seat and screamed at Dad to get us out of here. Dad put his foot to the floor and we drove off quickly. As we saw Animal Town out of the back of our car window, I leaned over and I whispered to my brother, I have never been more excited to be stuck in a car on the way to Grandma's house. So that's how I finished off our story. Yours might be completely different and that's okay. You might have already made it to Grandma's house in your story. It's totally up to you. Happy writing stage 2 and I hope you've enjoyed Animal Town. Thanks.